So once again, good morning. Just to give you some background about CADpoint, we're based in Crowthorne, Berkshire, and we're a gold partner for Autodesk software. We have a team of experts ready to assist you in all aspects of design. We are also partners with some of the most trusted hardware manufacturers in the industry, including HP, NVIDIA, etc. As well as software, our team can also offer introductory training for new customers and advanced courses for experienced users to help you get the most from your software. So without further ado, I think I'll pass back on to you, Paul. If you want to take the lead.
Thank you, Iqbal. Hopefully everyone can hear me fine. So, I asked to put a little bit about me, just to give you an idea of who's actually talking to you today. So my name's Paul. I've been around in the channel for quite a few years now. So this is the Autodesk channel. So before that, I started on AutoCAD way back in 1986. But before then, I started on the drawing board. So obviously, I started work when I was 6 years old. I look after most of the AEC portfolio, but mainly looking after Revit, a bit of Navisworks, and I guess most of my time these days I'm involved in BIM 360, which is why we're here today. So, so in the architecture, engineering, and construction industries, it's well known that design teams face a series of challenges, both when beginning and working through a project. Appropriate decision making requires effective teamwork and communication, but three important issues need to be considered. Long projects can lead into much dead time. Physical distances between design teams from the same company but working in different locations can restrict information sharing, while working with external parties can accentuate the effect of the distance even more. And also costs can mount and delays be extended if there's an absence of consistent communication between different disciplines. Autodesk BIM 360 can bring various teams together more effectively via the cloud with data sharing securely. This can result in a range of benefits, including improved productivity, flexible resourcing, and creating more time and space for that creativity to flourish. So this webinar will examine the challenges designers and others face and how these can be overcome. And it will also consider the nature of collaboration, its impact on designers, and how the nature of collaboration is changing to improve working practices while also maintaining that security on projects. So we're using lots of different tools to address our needs to communicate and collaborate across these distributed teams. And I'm sure you'll all recognize a method or two of collaboration on this slide. But the truth is, none of them fully solve our needs because none of them were actually built for a design-based collaboration. Utilizing cloud technology can help boost and return on investment in BIM and be a major factor in overcoming some of the key challenges that participants in project teams face. The use of multiple versions of files can lead to costly mistakes being made. Some calculate that only 1/3 of projects use the correct file version and have access to the latest documentation. However, working in the same BIM model as the rest of the team means everyone is working from the latest version. So changes can be tracked, visualized, and monitored to ensure across-the-board cooperation. Nearly 2/3 of major capital projects miss cost and schedule targets, according to a report by KPMG. But cloud-enabled BIM means decision-making can be streamlined and speed up communications such as project updates and achievements of scheme milestones. Decisions can also be made from any cloud-enabled location. The cloud also offers users a shared workspace without upfront investment or personal and running costs of installing expensive IT equipment. Overall, using the cloud makes teamwork less complex. Today's technology offerings for AEC projects simply fall short of supporting these cross-project needs. They have instead been focused on satisfying the needs of individual project phases and their stakeholders. This siloed approach to project delivery is most evident in the lack of data flow during a project. The projects are incredibly complex and there is a high frequency of data that is being rapidly iterated. But disconnection at times of information handover results in a loss of data at the project as the project progresses. Bad information and data silos across companies lead to a massive waste that is prevalent in delivering projects, and distributed teams are hurt by delays in communication and waste time searching for the right project information. This leaves project teams without the ability to accurately predict project outcomes. So this is a study created by Box.com, and basically when our customers use technology and create data, digital data, research has shown that data is much more distributed than in any other industry. As you can see now, the diagram in the middle here is how data is within the construction. You can see a whole load of different silos where data is actually just spread across different locations, which leads to many of the problems we're seeing today. So BIM 360 enables your team to bring in the data they need to execute on projects today. It supports the workflows that are relevant throughout its modular services, which I'll soon describe in more detail. BIM 360 ecosystem extends way beyond that functionality, enabling more workflows that are relevant to the diversity of our customers. With well over 100 new integrations added just this year alone, this connects you to thousands of businesses that recognize the same opportunity we see in the construction. Without you needing to worry about the resilience, scalability, and security. So let's have a look at where each of the BIM 360 offerings sit. And today we'll be looking at the very top section of this diagram. So BIM 360 Docs, as you can see, is used throughout the life cycle of a project. This is the mainstay of any project and controls many things more than just document management. We'll also look at a little later at the BIM 360 project homepage and how this can give any of the project team easy access to information from just one page. And finally, BIM 360 Design, giving you the real-time Revit cloud work sharing and collaboration workflows, allowing the secure co-authoring of Revit models across one firm or multiple firms, giving you an improved productivity, reduced rework, and accelerate project delivery. Autodesk project-centered approach to providing tools, workflows, and information needed to manage your project today is built specifically for the construction projects and to support the entire project life cycle, ensuring everyone involved is always connected, current, and in control. Autodesk are not just building software for the handful of people in the office or even on site, they're providing technology for 220 million workers that span our projects, including subcontractors and the entire supply chain. Their approach is designed to offer flexibility for your project teams and your firm, enabling you to start with what you need today, and then you can expand for more capabilities. Whether it's working with 2D documents and collaborating with your team, or expanding to use BIM and 5D workflows. This new approach delivers the capabilities you need when you're ready for them. This integrated approach will come together as a scalable, interoperable, and connected platform that will support the entire construction lifecycle, from concept to occupancy. Most importantly, it's configurable to the way that your teams work and not the other way around. So let me show you what the BIM 360 software looks like and how it can help you change your approach to thinking about deploying technology. The platform starts with the digitization of the project, housing all of your information in one place. BIM 360 is a common data platform, whether cloud work sharing, performing clash detection, producing field reports, or issuing RFIs and submittals, automating handovers and unleashing the power of the data. As I mentioned earlier, BIM 360 Docs is more than just a document management tool. With the ability to view just about any design file, whether it's from Autodesk or not. Viewing these files online and having the power to mark up both 2 and 3D files without the need for Revit or AutoCAD installed. Making sure the whole team are working on the correct version of the file, but with the capacity to check back on previous versions. Together with the customizable workflows for the way your company works today. So first thing we're going to have a look at is the project environment. I will go into this live, but just to give you a few snapshots of screenshots of what you'll get to see. So first thing I will say is you can actually create your own folder structure. The folder structure can be exactly how you work today on your local servers, or you can actually just start off with a brand new system. Everything is controllable and per project. Whenever anything happens within a particular folder, you can actually get the notifications when that happens. So if anybody uploads anything new or changes anything within a particular folder that you're subscribing to, you'll get a notification via email. We can also add more custom information. You're not just stuck with the database that Autodesk has given you. You can actually even put more and more fields as needed and use them for whatever reasons you so want. The ability also you can see here is the ability to search for a document. So if you don't know exactly where a document is actually held, you can actually search for part or all of that document name, file name, or document number, and it will actually find that document for you. The security side of this is really, really strong. So we're going to have a look at the assigning detailed access rights. So if we choose perhaps one of the folders here, so in this case the architectural folder, we can then actually set up a permission level. So as we add people to our project, we can give them specific rights to a particular folder and its subfolders. We can also do this not only by name, but we can also do it by role or company name as well. So rather than just setting the rights per person, we could set the rights up for a company name, and everybody within that company gets the particular rights to that particular file. So as you can see here, we have a varied amount of different permissions giving us different control over a particular folder. And as I said before, we can do this by name, by company, or by role. So reviewing a project. So as I said before, we don't need to have in software installed. So if you've got somebody that needs to view a particular file, whether it be a 2D or 3D, they can actually log into BIM 360, and the viewer allows us then to review that. So here we can see first of all the 2D plans. So again, inside BIM 360, we select the particular file, and we can actually then start to view this, just zooming in and out and panning. We've also got tools that we can actually use to actually start to check on dimensioning. And here you can see we're going to actually just create an area. So again, rather than actually having AutoCAD or Revit or any other software installed, we can check these designs out. So in this case, we're going to have a look at the 3D. So this is a BIM 3D view, a Revit 3D view. And again, we can actually start to look at these, and we can actually examine, drill down even further than just actually looking at the view. So in this case, we're going to actually do a section, and we can actually section this live model as we need to. And again, as we did with the 2D, we can actually start measuring in 3D as well. This has smart snaps, so it actually snaps to particular points. so we get accurate information. The actual structure of the file, it comes across as it would from Revit, so we can actually start to break down the actual model. In this case, we're looking for a particular door style, and it'll actually highlight those for us inside the model. We can also search for information as well. So if, in this case, we're looking for a particular floor type, so if we type in floor 100 mil, it'll actually give us all of those that meet that particular criteria. All of the metadata actually comes across with the Revit file. So we actually select any item inside that particular file, we can actually take across and read all the information that Revit has within that. With a 3D model, it also brings across whatever 2D files that we actually want. So any views that we wish to come across with the 3D, we can actually check on as well. So again, all that information is stored. So we choose the wall in here, all that information is stored. And this is something I really like, is the ability to have both the 3D and the 2D on at the same time. It gives us a better idea. So if we select this staircase here, it'll actually show us and highlight it inside the 3D view. And the same with the escalator there as well. So that's viewing documents within type BIM 360. Obviously, once we've looked at these, we may have to give some information back to the originator. So one of the best ways to do this is markups. So with inside the viewing capabilities, we can start to mark up and share our markups automatically. So again, just viewing that particular item, whether it be 2D or 3D, we can actually then run through some of the markup tools. So in this case, we're just going to create a cloud, and we'll put a little bit of text in. Now, by default, all of the markups are private. So in other words, they're just for you. But we can publish these so that everyone else within that team can actually see the markup as well. Here we've got one that we're going to put in 3D. So just create a little call out, and again, a piece of text. And done. And we can actually see these appearing on the left-hand side of that particular screen. So we can immediately have an overview of any of the markups that anybody's created. It will tell you who's created them, when they created. We can also add attachments at this point as well. So if we actually want to see a markup, we just select it, and it'll take us straight to that particular markup. And that's including the 3D. It'll actually pop up the 3D view and give us that markup for us as well. The other option as well is part of the workflow we can set up is we can actually start up asking for creating some document issues. So if we're checking up on the document, we actually find there's a problem or something we need changing, rather than using markups, we can actually set up an issue. So by creating an issue, we decide on a location for that particular issue, and we give it a title and description. Now, the beauty with a markup is we can actually assign this to a particular person, whereas with a markup, we actually get, everybody sees that particular markup, but in this case, we can actually assign it, and we can also give a due date. So we can actually give a point where we actually want this, a reply for this particular issue. Once that's created, that person will then get an email. They'll get an email notification to say there is an issue. And then they can actually select the link inside the email and go straight to the issue, and they can reply as needed. So if we have a look at the overview of all the document issues here, the with inside BIM 360, you can actually check up on all of the issues. You just go to the Issues tab. And this, in this case, is actually giving us all of the particular issues that are open, closed, or in draft. So we can actually start to filter. So let's filter these. We'll filter for anything that's open. And in this case, we actually want to check that it's, rather than all open issues, we want those that are assigned to our architect. In this case, this is Anne. So we select Anne's name in the assigned to, and apply that filter. And here we can see she has 3 issues that are assigned to her that are still open. And we can export that report if needed. So if we needed to actually make a PDF of this, we can actually then export that report and we get that into a PDF showing us all of the open issues for that particular person. So that's a brief look at BIM 360 docs. Now I'm going to go into this live just really to show you how easy it is to set up a project. And then we're going to have a look at the BIM 360 design. We're going to have a look at the collaboration side of things. So before we go live, I just want to go through some of the benefits of the BIM 360 design. I guess really the easiest way to describe this is the collaboration side. So if you wanted to collaborate specifically inside Revit, then it's BIM 360 design that you actually need. BIM 360 design license will give you a BIM 360 docs license as well. So where you will actually get all the information and abilities within docs comes within part of the design as well. So without further ado, let's go into this live. So I've got Revit open. So this is a project that's well beyond where we would normally start collaborating. Now, before I actually put this up into the cloud, really what I need to do is actually create the project. So let's pop into BIM 360. So this is in fact the account admin side. So you would actually have probably more likely 2 account admins. Now, these aren't people necessarily that are going to be working on a project. They can be the same person, but they're the person who would actually set the project up. So the obvious thing here I would do is actually choose add, and then it will ask me some information on the actual particular project. You don't have to fill out all of this. You'll see there's asterisks. So as long as I give it a few bits of information, the project type really is there so you can actually start to do some reporting later on, so you can actually see what percentage of your projects are a particular type. You've also got the option for the construction type. We've also got project value, so let's put that in. In fact, I've just changed it to GBP. Or I can always come back at any time for this. Contract type. Again, this is really for reporting back. All I'm going to be worried about in this case is I'm actually going to leave the project address for now, and we won't worry too much about the time as such. But and one thing I do quite like is give it a project image as well. Makes it easier to find in the project list, and then I can save and continue. So that's created the particular project. Project has been saved, so that will actually create that for me. Now the next thing I need to do is I need to activate certain areas. So document management is the one that we definitely have to create. That we can't use this particular project unless we've got document management created. We can at this point apply a project template. Now normally what you would do is you'd actually have a master project template. This will actually bring in a whole load of things, not just your folder structure, but it will also bring in things like workflows for approval and so on and so forth. So once you've created a project template, you can actually then use that as as that template, and you can choose any project in the list. In this case, I have actually created a template project. Okay, so I could use that. I'm not going to use that right now because I want to show you how easy it is to actually set up the folder structure yourself. So I'm not going to use a project template. The project admin, in this case, I'm using myself as a project admin. You could, if you wanted to, set as many people up as you want as a project admin. So let's activate that. Okay, activate without a template. I'm happy for that. Normally, like I said, I would actually choose a template, so I wouldn't have to create my folder structure. Now, what I will also do in this case is I'm going to use design collaboration. So I'm going to use Revit and design collaboration in here. So I'm going to activate design collaboration. So that's your BIM 360 design. We won't worry too much about the other bits and pieces at this point. But once I've activated the design collaboration, we can then go and create some project folders. So it's activating these. The other options here as well, we can actually start to add members in here as well. So if we go to the members tab, at the moment, I'm the only one who's actually a member in here. So if I wanted to start adding members to the particular project, I can do so. In this case, what I'm going to do is I can either just type their name. So if I start typing, this is my structural engineer, my AutoCAD. So I'm going to use Otto as part of this project. And I've also got Maria is my, she is my M&E engineer. So I shall add those in. And each of these will actually be then sent an email to basically say, yes, I want to be part of this project, and they have to select that to be part of this. We can also set them to be a particular level of administration to any of the objects here. So insight is something we actually get as part of the project, but document management, and in this case design collaboration. So we can see here that Otto has is a member of the document management, but he doesn't have design collaboration tools. But by picking on here, I can actually just change that information like so. So we can actually then say add those to the project. I would ordinarily give them a company name as well. In this case, we don't really need to worry too much for that. So let's have a look at the document management side of things. So let's go back into Project Home. So this is our project home page. Now in here we can actually start to see some of the bits and pieces as the project grows. Now the project, if I'd put an address in here, I'd get a little map appearing, and we'd also get the weather for that location. Okay, so at this point in the design stage, we're not probably that worried about the weather, but when we start to get onto the actual construction phase, it might be a good idea to actually see the weather as it appears in this case. So in this option here, we've got the document management side, so that's ready for us to use. So if I go into document management, so first of all, you'll see there are basically two folders. There's two areas for our folders. The first one we're going to be using more is the project files. So this is where all those project files go. Now, remember, it's not just for Revit and AutoCAD. It's not just for design files. It's for pretty much any file, PDFs, document files, Excel spreadsheets, anything you can actually think of will actually appear. You can go in here and we can view all of those. We don't have to download them. We can view them online. The plans section, I would always leave that to really more for on-site documentation. We can actually put information in here and we give access to that to people actually working on site. So it's the project files I'm actually more interested in at this point. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create a folder. So first of all, we'll actually create a folder for architects, and we'll also create a folder for the HVAC team. And now what I'm doing here is very, very simple. Again, I would normally probably work, if you were working to standards, if I wanted to work to ISO 19650, then I would actually have a structure there much more akin to that. But this really gives us an idea. Now we can actually start to create folders underneath here. So if we wanted to, we could actually start to create those folders. Now, one other folder I would create in this case is a shared folder. Now the shared folder will actually be something that everybody can gain access to. Now this is if I was just using docs on its own. Ordinarily, I would actually make sure that the architectural company will actually have access to the architects, the HVAC, that would be the M&E guys. So in this case, what I'm going to do for the HVAC folder, I'm actually going to set some permissions. So we go to the permissions and we add. So I'm going to actually add Maria in here as, now what I would probably do is probably put the whole company in here as for their folder. So I'm going to add that one in like so. And whoops. I should actually have checked the permission level. So in this case, really, because it's Maria's folder, I really want her to have full control of that particular folder, and I can add that to there. So in this case, me being the project admin, I have full control over that, and Maria also has full control over that area as well. Whereas Otto, he's the structural guy, he doesn't see anything inside the HVAC. That said, if we have a look at the shared folder, what I'll do is I'll actually create, again, another subfolder in here, and we would actually create a subfolder pretty much for the same of all the other teams inside this. And in the permissions here, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give, I'll give Otto a permission, and what I'll do is I'll actually, you can view and download. Okay, so we can view and download that particular shared, and you get the general idea of what we're doing here. We're actually setting up. Now, if I'd actually set these folder structures in a template file, I wouldn't have to do this every project. So that's the ability we've got in this case. So that's my my project setup. There's my information for my permissions and so on. What we've also got in here, let me just go into the project admin again. I just want to make sure we've got our services, go to services, making sure that we've got our design collaboration. That's in there as well. That's cool. Okay, so now next thing I would do is let's go back to Revit. Okay, so the project's already set up. I've got my folder structure set up as I wanted to. Now there's two things I can do here. I could just drag and drop a file from my local drive to that particular location. Okay, so as long as I've got access to BIM 360 docs, I can do that. I just drag from my folder locally to that particular folder, and it uploads that information to that information for me as well. What I can also do, now this is available in both Revit and Revit LT, is I can use Save As, and I can use the Cloud Model option. This is something that's been added just recently, the last couple of releases. So in this case, with the Save As a Cloud Model, what I'll need to do first off is make sure I'm on the right hub. Now in this case, you'll see that I can change that hub. Ordinary, most people, if they're just working on their own projects, they'll have one hub, and then once they've got in there, they can actually then choose. So if I go down to my Slough View office, and inside the project files, there's my architectural model, and I can actually save that information there. That means everybody who has access to that particular folder has access to view that particular model. And again, if I'd actually put it into the shared option, everyone who has access to the shared area will also have access to that particular model, and they can view that online. Now, going one stage further, if we look at something called BIM 360 Design, this is the collaboration side. So if I have a license for design, I can do what we're going to actually do here. So we've got a collaboration ribbon, and we've got collaborate here. Now, ordinarily, what you would have done before BIM 360 was just create a local version. So somewhere within your network, you'd create a central file. So this is basically what we're creating here. Now, I don't want to create it for a central file because there's people externally that want to actually gain access to this, other people that might want to work within that model. And one of the problems that we used to have with things like Revit Server was giving access to external people. So if you couldn't VPN in or get your IT guys to open a port that sometimes closed, that caused us a whole load of problems. So in this case, what we're going to use is we're going to use a BIM 360 document management. So once we've selected that, it will ask us then, okay, which hub or server in the cloud are we looking at? Which of the projects is this part of? And then we can actually determine exactly where we're going. So we're going to actually put this into the architects folder. And we say we'll initiate that. So the thing, what's going to do here is it's actually going to start work sharing. So it allows us to take ownership of individual items inside this model. It will then create our default work sets as it's shown there. It will then upload the model to the cloud. So it's actually, what it's doing is actually pushing that information up. But it's doing an awful lot of stuff in the background as well, because there are sort of two levels to this. We can give access to people to work on this at the same time as anyone else, and we can actually work within that team. But the extended team don't see anything until we publish the model. Okay, so every time we decide, actually, we've done enough changes now, we want to publish this, we then publish it for other people to see inside that inside BIM 360. The other thing we'll also do we'll actually save the model locally. So it's actually saved that locally, and that's then ready to use. It means that everyone else within that team can actually use that. We'd also have to invite team members in here as well. Okay, so what we would do is we'd actually go back into BIM 360, and we'd actually then be able to see that information. So if I go back to document management, now it does a little bit of work in the background, but if we actually have a look in there, there's our file, version 1 of the file. I uploaded it on the 29th of May, and so on and so forth. So I could then view that at that particular point in time as well. The other thing we could actually do in this case is we can actually then start to set up teams to be working on that particular model inside the design. Now, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to switch to another project purely because we've done that already. We've already set up our information in here. So in this case, we've actually got, there's our architectural, there's our model. It's already at version 5, okay? It's also got markups. And you can see that little icon here. We've got markups, and we've got an issue with this as well. We've actually got an issue that somebody's noted within here. Now, going back to the actual structure of the files here, we can actually see that we've actually got, there's our shared information. So we have a look at the shared folder. Inside there, we've actually got architect, HVAC, and structural. Now, if we're using BIM 360 design, these are actually created for us because we actually create the teams. So once we've created the teams, it will create the folders for us, and it will give us access to that information. Now, the way that we work, if we take the architect, for instance, that folder is the work in progress folder. So as we're working away with this, we will actually just update this. So our internal team, our close-knit team, will be able to see that information. At some point in time, we would then be ready to share that with the wider team. We would then go to our design collaboration stage. And inside here, if I just use this little pull down here, you can see there's my team. And in fact, we've actually got a number of things we've done. So we've actually created these packages. We've actually shared the package at some point in time. So what will happen is this will actually allow us then to see that in the shared location. So if I go back again to document management, okay, what we've done is inside the shared, if we have a look at architectural, there's the file there. Now this was originally shared back at version 1. we've not actually shared it again since. So the external team will only see version 1 at this particular point in time. The other thing is they can do is they can check out that version, and they can decide whether to use it. So if, for instance, I have a look under structural and have a look under consumed, they haven't consumed this, but if we have a look at under HVAC, there's an architectural folder and a structural folder. They're actually consuming version 1. Okay, that's the file they would then link into their own project. And they would do the exact opposite. They would then share their information. That would then get put into the HVAC shared area, and then the architectural people or the structural people then decide whether to consume that information. The beauty is nobody's got access to the work in progress area apart from the people that are supposed to be working on that project. They will then, people will then share that information, and then they consume from that. So if I go back to design collaboration and use this little pull down again, and one more time, here you can see there's the HVAC team, the structural team, and architectural team. Now, because I'm the project admin for this, I can actually see all those different areas. Most people within the team won't be set for a project admin, so they'll only see their own stuff or shared information. The other nice thing as well is here is when we've actually got, so we have a look at this particular model as such, straight away the issues come across. So if we didn't spot there was an issue before, we actually see there's an issue in here as well. So I can actually check the issue in here. And this is about a column placement that's been incorrectly put in. I can also, so if I was, let's say, the HVAC, I could check this model out. So I can actually check this out. So this is actually checking out what the model stage is at this point. So this is school. And what I really like about this is we can actually check the changes. So any changes from different versions, we can check that out. And what it will do is it will list these out into 3 areas, whether they've been added, whether some stuff has been removed or modified. Now, in this case, we've only got one thing that's added, and that's that column. You can see that clear as day, that's in there. We can start to filter out some of these as well. So we've got disciplines. In this case, we've got architecture and structure in here, and we can actually start to filter out some of these. So we can actually check this out. At that point, if I was one of the other teams, I can then, there would be an option here to consume. So I can actually say, yep, this project is ready for me to consume, and then it will actually bring that into my consumed folder. That's pretty much a whistle-stop tour between for design collaboration at this point. The other option I would say was inside Revit. If we made a change to this, for instance, if I was going to say, let's change this door style, let's make it, it's pretty much the same size, so we won't see much difference in this case. So I've actually updated this at this point. Now, if we go back to collaborate, the collaborate option here is we're already collaborating, and we can synchronize with our central. So basically what I'm doing here is synchronizing. I would actually add a comment. This gives everybody else in the team an awareness that what we've actually changed. Now this, again, is purely local. So this is only those people that are collaborating with inside Revit. Once we've done this, it'll actually then save to local. So we've always got a local copy, and that's as simple as that. The beauty is when we do a save, it doesn't do a whole save. It only saves the changes within here. Now, if we wanted to see the further team to see that information, what we would do is we'd actually then publish. We'd actually publish that particular information. Publish settings allows us to determine what we're going to publish, so we can create a set. So rather than all of the views being shown, we can actually choose what drawing sheets to set up, what views are set. So if you've created some views just for yourself, just make it easier to actually see a particular area, you don't want to share those, you don't tick them, okay? Then once we've done that, we can actually go to Manage Cloud models. This will actually give us all of the models, all of the projects that need publishing. So any changes, then in this case, we've got 3 that we need to change. So in this case, this is the one. It will do a nice little check for us and say, publish latest. Yep, we're published the latest. This will actually take a little bit of time because it actually is creating a new version, but it's keeping the other version as well. So it's actually versioning all this information for us in the background. We can close this. We can actually close this down. We can actually then start to carry on working on this file as well. In the background, all that information is being done for us. If, for instance, I then go back to my BIM 360, go to Document Management, and in the we're actually on the other project, so it's Slough View Office, and then I just go back into Architects, and there we can see version 2. So we're now working on version 2 of this particular model. Now in the background, this is actually updating, so it's probably not the best for a live view. Let's yeah, it's still processing that information, but in this case I can actually start to do some comparisons if I wanted to. So I can actually compare the difference. So it would be the same as that we did for that school. You'd actually see that information appear as a change. And the beauty is, what I do like is the actual ability to actually see when things are moved. It will show you where it's moved from to as such as well. So all good in that respect. So I'm just going to switch back to our slides. Now, I'm going to whiz through these because we've actually got, we've actually gone through this all live. So this is really an explanation of that. And so, finalized conclusion, I suppose, why BIM 360? Hopefully you've seen a good reason to actually maybe have a look at BIM 360. It's the only unified common data platform for the industry and that will actually go from all the way through from concept all the way through to handover. I guess we look at each of these. So connected. So BIM 360's, like I said, it's there for you whenever you want to. Mobile devices are out on site. You can actually then get that information. For team collaboration, it's designed to construction. Secure. I get Autodesk investing in security, making it's a focus across the company. So protecting your information from security threat is Autodesk's #1 priority. It uses AWS, so it uses Amazon servers, which also have a specific security level to them. Again, there's a link there. Have a look for BIM 360 security in Google and you'll see more information about that as you need to. Integrated. The one thing I would say as well is Autodesk BIM 360 is built on the Forge platform. Forge is something that Autodesk has created, which basically opens up the API for BIM 360 and allows a whole load of different plugins to be used as well. So once you're in BIM 360, you can check out the apps and see what apps are available for that. You may well be using one of these products within it, which you might want to then link in, and that can be done with the apps. It's data driven. BIM 360 aggregates project data across the entire life cycle to give you a clear picture into project performance and allowing you to make a quicker, more informed business decision and predict issues before they become costly holdups. One of the things I didn't show you was Insight actually gives you an insight. So it gives you, if we've got lots of issues, now we only looked at the design stage, so there's design issues, but there's also construction issues that can be reported on in here as well. So you can actually pinpoint where you're getting the most problems and where the issues are. And that's because, like I said, it's data driven. So workflows, one of the other things as well is whether it be an approval workflow, you can set up that information. So if, for instance, I mean, I just updated a particular document, but ordinarily that would go through an approval workflow. So we'd actually set it, so we'd actually create a package and someone else would actually check that out. They can then return it, or they can actually just decide to share it with the external team as needed. And that's the beauty with the workflow integration. So I'm aware, I think we're up 6 minutes to, I think it is. So Iqbal, are you still there?
Of course I am, Paul. Of course I am. Wouldn't miss
Cool,
this for the world. Wouldn't miss it for the world. Great.
cool.
Thank you so much for all that and the live demo of
Cool.
using BIM 360. We've had a few questions
Cool.
that I've been trying to answer as well as we're going along. So I'm just going to wonder if you could give us your view on these. Jeff asks, do you no longer have to grant services to individual project members, i.e. collaboration, etc.? Is this all covered in the new Activate service facility?
Yeah, so the Activate service, all that will do is allow that service to be on that project. You still have to decide on whether or who has access to that. I don't know if you noticed when I added those people, and I could actually determine whether they were a project admin or that determines whether they can use that particular service. Does that make it clear? You know, when I started adding people, I think Otto couldn't use the design collaboration, and I just clicked on that and gave them access to that. Otto would then obviously get an email to say that he's been given access to that. So yeah. So you still need to give people access to particular services.
Right. So
obviously, obviously, as soon as you add somebody to a project, they automatically get the BIM 360 docs because they need at least that. So, yeah.
So there was another question from Jeff actually to do with swim lines. So the so the BIM 360 design, the swim lines. Can you create your own subgroups for that? And I think I believe it's all based on the folder structure that you have in docs. Is that right?
Well, actually, it's the other way around. You create the teams, and the folders are created for you.
By themselves.
So yeah.
Right.
So the first thing you would do once you go into design collaboration for the first time, it will ask you then to create teams. I can actually, if I go, go back through this. Let me see. Don't realize how many slides there are. So yes, so there. So the first thing you do is inside under project admin, you'd go to design collaboration, and then you would add a team, and you can either choose a folder that already exists, or it will actually create the folder, and it just creates the folder with the same name as the team name. Okay, so that's how the folder structure is set. The beauty is, let me just go through. So the project admin will then see all of the folders for obvious reasons, but in this case the architect will only see the architectural folder and the shared folder. So these are automatically created. Automatically created for those. So and the same thing for that. So that then will go through to the swim lanes. These are what they call swim lanes up the top here.
That's right.
I can actually see. So basically, if I was the architect, you'd actually see the architectural and anything that's shared. Okay. You can actually bring that down so you can actually see who shared them. But these are what the swim lanes give us.
I see. So you create them in the folder structure. You create them in
the
first?
teams.
In the teams that you create?
In the teams, and they're automatically brought into here. So so that architecture there that's the team name.
That's true. You can create sub teams basically.
Basically, But what I did skip there is once you've created the teams, you then add people to those teams.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Okay.
So just going on to other questions here as well. How do we integrate inventor vaulted data?
Okay, you can. It's an area I've got a
I believe
colleague.
that you should do. I think you should do it through desktop connector and
Yeah,
also
Desktop Connector is the one. And again, there's something I haven't mentioned, but Desktop Connector is something that actually allows you, when I did save as, and it
yeah,
showed me the BIM 360, that really is the Desktop Connector.
that's right.
It just basically means I can use the File Explorer, and I can see the whole of the BIM 360. And a lot of people quite like that. They're not sort of happy of logging into BIM 360 just to copy some files into a location. Just do it on your desktop.
Yes.
And it's just, yeah, as easy as that. But
Hmm.
yeah, Vault will then use that information because it's still a location.
That's right. It makes it a location for you to access
That's
the
it.
multiple programs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
We had a question about federating models within design. Can you download them federated? So if you join structural models and architectural models together in BIM 360 Design, can you then download that particular model in a Revit to use in Revit?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. Yeah, it's
Federated
all.
together, linked together.
Yeah, yeah. All of the generally you would, I suppose. I guess one of the things we didn't look at is BIM 360 coordinate, and that's an area where you would start to use
Right.
configuration in there.
Yes. Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
that's
so that would actually allow. Yeah, yeah. But
normally
yes,
you have to do
you
a
can.
Navisworks to be able
It's
to do.
it's I'm a I sound a bit sort of cagey there because really I try and talk about BIM 360 as your single source of truth.
Hmm.
As soon as you start to download confederated models and so on, it's it's they're no longer from the single source of truth. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I would try and do it within the cloud as such. I mean, if I'm linking models in to creating a confederated model, then I'm linking them from the cloud as well.
Yeah.
So, you'd actually have a cloud model that uses other cloud models.
Yeah.
Does that? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
yeah. If you're starting to, I mean, there's nothing wrong with downloading the file in that respect. But just bear in mind that you're working on a local file. You're
Hmm.
not working on the live, the updated model as such.
Great. So
Okay.
yeah, as in, we'll send you some details about that particular issue. Um, uh, Peter, so we'll send you some details about that. I'll send you some to how to look up BIM 360 coordinate, some information around that. So we've got just a few more questions before we wrap up. How can we download a backup version of the model to our server, say in milestone stages? So I mean, they're asking how to do a backup version on a server. I mean, I'd say you wouldn't really need that, do you? Because it's all back
Uh,
on.
no, no, yeah, it's a tough one. I guess the fact is that the files are in multiple locations
Yeah.
on Amazon servers. You just basically choose where where it is, whether it be in Europe or the US. And certainly, everything's available in Europe now. But yeah, you can download. It's not an automatic thing. I guess you could create something that automatically gets to it. But yes, you can download any file with inside. I mean, if I go back to, let me just go in here. Just close that down. Basically, if I choose the three dots here, there's a number of things we can do in this, and one of them being download. So I can download that particular source file, and then you choose where you want to put it on your server or whatever. And
Yeah.
again, it can just be the thing is though, it's just a Revit file. No markups come down with it. They're held within the cloud. There's no versioning once you've downloaded that. So you'll have to mark it as a version 2 or whatever in that instance as such. So
Hmm.
yeah, the other thing I've also like to mention here is there's two things we can do as well. Is we can lock files. So if we're actually working on a file, we can lock a file. It doesn't matter what type of file it is, so that no one else can actually upload it again. so you've basically locked it for editing as such, and then you just unlock it when you want, if someone else wants to upload a new version. And the other option is share. Something that's quite new over the last month is the ability to share with people outside of BIM 360.
That's a new one.
So if I go to share in here, yeah, so you can actually just create a link, and it will actually create a link, and that allows you to.
That's a file, not a folder, correct?
That's right. That's just the file, nothing else. Nothing else. You'll notice that when I went to share, it just says share with project members. I can't change it, and I have to turn that on. So basically, in the project admin, I go and turn the ability to share, and it creates what we call a public URL, and it allows somebody just to view it. That's what. Yeah, just to view.
I mean, this is what was missing for a long time.
There was something.
Public demand, doesn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, I think it was available. Well, it was available in BIM 360 Teams, which was an early version of this sort of thing. And then when it went to Docs, we lost it. Which, yeah, I think they wanted the integrity, the security, I suppose, that they didn't want external people looking. But I think it could also have been looked at as well. You have to have a license, and people are saying, well, just to view one file, why do I need a license?
It's true.
So now that's back. So yeah, so that's cool.
So just two more questions, then we'll go into we'll probably answer the rest of them afterwards. So do you have any thoughts, just general thoughts? Jonathan's asking about the problems with internet connection and syncing files. Anything we have to worry about with BIM 360? So they used to have using as the office work sharing environment in the office with the NAS box as the server.
Yeah. Okay. So well, I guess I mean you have
I think it's much better, isn't it? I mean,
yeah.
it does tackle these problems head on.
I would look at yes, you need an internet connection to get to something. I mean, if you've got a mobile device, you can download the view of. So if you go on site where there's no Wi-Fi or even a mobile signal, you've got that ability. So and that, I guess, if we're using Revit, a BIM 360 design, so we're collaborating, we do actually have a local copy. And we don't need that, and it's only when we start to publish or sync that's when we need the internet connection. It's been pretty good. I had my own Wi-Fi drop, just a bit my home Wi-Fi dropped in the middle of a sync. It didn't cause a problem. It just it got back up again and synced again. I think, to be honest, you would probably find that using BIM 360 has so many other benefits over using a NAS drive. Actually gaining access to that, it can be a nightmare. You actually, even a full-blown server,
right?
It's people giving access to people outside of the company, or even working from home. I mean, these times now, it's something that's really brought that to home. That we do have people working out of the office.
Yes.
And I think with a NAS box, I have one at home, and it's purely only for when we're at home. It's not something I would want to need to try and share outside.
I mean, offices have their own challenges, and they tackled it quite well. But I think the BIM 360 platform does help you address all of those particular issues that you might have, and you trying to work around. But Jonathan, if you just let us know, give us an email at support@cadpoint.co.uk. We could try and help you in a bit more detail with your situation there, and help you overcome that.
Sure. One thing I'd like to go back to on that, John, for the question from Jonathan is large files don't have a problem. I don't know if you know, when I changed the size of that door, when I synced it, it's not syncing the whole model again. It's only syncing that door changed. So the actual syncing process is pretty darn quick. It's it's not like copying back up the model again. So
yeah, so it works. It works the same way. The distinct changes with WorkShared anyway, but again, it's quite quick. Bear in mind that it's only doing the changes. I understand. Great. I think we're okay with all that. No more questions. If you have any questions, put them through. I'm just going to run through quickly I just want to show you, we've got future events coming up on the 7th of July, 11 o'clock, a webinar with Jonathan Reinhardt, top 10 tips for AEC collection, getting started with Revit. So in there, Jonathan Reinhardt, our architectural technologists, will take you through Revit for your first project, cover stuff like the Revit coordinate system, producing 2D floor plans, placing on sheets, linking in CAD files, tidying up your 3D views, creating quantity schedules. So this is very handy to get a tutorial about. If you want to join that, I've just posted a link in the chat, and we'll also send you a link to, it's also on our website, cadpoint.co.uk/news, and also we'll send you the link after the webinar as well. Just to let you know, we are going to be sending a feedback form after the webinar as well. If you could please kindly fill that in for us. We'd love to know what you think of the webinars that we're posting now and before, so we can make them better for you in the future. Apart from that, anything else you want to add there, Paul? Thank you so much for your live demonstration, and a lot of work put into that.
Pleasure, Iqbal.
And again, we'll be posting this up on our YouTube channel in a while, so we'll send you links to that as well. I think that's kind of it. I wish you guys a great weekend and stay safe. And please have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much. Bye for now.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.